Should the Texas lottery end? And I'm not talking we're going to have a philosophical discussion. It's actually been put to paper, and in the budget that was passed by the House, that still hasn't been approved by the Senate. So this isn't law just yet, but this is the closest you've seen it since the lottery was created, I think. But the line item where the lottery normally is got zeroed out. They just passed this budget because remember Brian Harrison was on 2 or 3 weeks ago griping about it. It was zeroed out. No lottery commission. So the program will be killed if the Texas Senate decides to keep that in their version of the budget. Now, if they come to a different decision, they'll have a conference committee and try and work it out, and we'll see. But the legislative session is supposed to end in early June, so we're going to have an answer on this in about 6 weeks. Granted, there's always the possibility of special sessions and things getting delayed and whatnot, but it looks like the inertia is for it to end. Now, for a lot of people, that's a little hard to comprehend. If you haven't been paying attention to the news, you might be saying, well, what's wrong with the lottery? Well, a lot's wrong with the lottery. For one thing, there has been some scandals around it. With the advent of everything being on an app these days, some of the lottery rules that were set up to prevent people from cheating the lottery, they've been given a bit of a workaround. So if you want to win the lottery, you buy 25 million tickets, you kind of have like a 1 in 4 chance of winning it. If you wait until the prizes are big enough, that's actually a worthwhile investment. So it's happened twice. We think that there have been allegedly, reportedly, according to the Texas Rangers, Texas Attorney General, other law enforcement officers, that there have been electric lottery courier companies that have improperly rigged the system. And the way this works is if you wanted to get a lottery ticket machine, you could get one for if you had a corner store, if you had a convenience store or some other business where you think that would help out, you could order one. Now, the problem comes what if someone wants to order 2 because they have so much business, I guess? You really need 2 machines? Well, then if you wanted to rig the lottery, it would take you half as much time to do it because now you have 2 machines and you, instead of just getting 5 tickets at a time through the quick picks or whatever they would do, they could do it twice as fast. Well, if you're a courier service, the one thing that seems shady about it to begin with is it skirts around the rule against if you were going to buy like a 25 million lottery tickets, what are you going to do? Are you yourself going to put in all these numbers? Or are you going to get other people to go buy a bunch of them for you? Or are you going to get your own outfit and just try and do it electronically? Well, to get around that, there's a law that says you have to buy them in person. Okay. Well, now we have apps that say if you pay our courier, an in-person person will go down, buy your lottery tickets for you, scratch off for lotto, and then deliver them to you like it's some sort of lottery DoorDash. So now we have a workaround to the person needing to be there. You have these courier services, and you also have an excuse for a business to say, well, we're a courier service. All we do is sell tickets, so we're going to need 20 machines. So now you have the ability to get those tickets in and out fast, all under the same house, all in the same room, under the same ownership or ownership group. And we think 2 payouts, one for $95 million, another for $83 million, were won when these electronic lottery courier services made themselves a bunch of tickets with their own machines and got it covered that way. So even if this is or is not true, I like the fact that the Texas lottery could go away. I think it should go away. Now, there's a philosophical and a reality component to this. Philosophically, I support lotteries in principle, just not government lotteries. I believe you have the right to go sell tickets. It's kind of like a raffle. Every fundraiser you go to that has a raffle. Isn't that the same system? You give me $2 and $1 goes in the pot and $1 goes into the fund that you're servicing, either the charity or for, Texas, it would be education. But you could have like a charitable system like that. And maybe the money does go to charity. Maybe it does the same thing the state does, but it's just in the private sector. Why not? Why not let these private companies make their living doing this instead of banning them and putting all under one government-controlled monopoly? Isn't that a little shady? Now, in the real world, my opinion of lottery shifts. I think they're kind of awful in reality because I think when they're in the hands of government, it gets really ugly because that money that's being split up between the pot and the people who are servicing the lottery itself goes to government. So money that goes from the citizen to the government is basically a tax. And so what you have here with the lottery being controlled by the government is a stupid tax. If you leave the lottery in the hands of the government, that's exactly what it becomes, a stupid tax. Because if anyone goes in there buying a lottery ticket thinking that they could win, boy, you're really living in fantasy, because the lottery isn't selling you prizes. The lottery isn't selling you the pieces of paper. It's not selling you the scratch-off tickets. You know what it's selling you? It's selling you hope. If you've ever bought a lottery ticket, the fun part about buying the ticket is you have an excuse. You have something in your hand or in your pocket, and you can be like, what if I won $83 million? You know, I think, would I pay off my mortgage, or would I immediately get a new house? Immediately get a new house. I'd buy all kinds of dumb cars. I'd finally get a boat. Oh man, I would have like a car that has all these nice things in it, like heated seats and self-driving, and all the windows would work properly. There wouldn't be any dents on my car. You know how good life would be if I won the lottery? That's what they're selling. That little conversation, that little internal monologue that you get to have with yourself, or even if you chat with your spouse. Me and Miss Parker love to fantasize about what would happen if we won the lottery. I mean, we would do some really stupid things with it, like the Buck Tussle High School would be the smallest school on planet Earth with a domed football stadium. I think... I wouldn't tell you I won the lottery, but there would be some pretty obvious signs. But in reality, it's dumb people that are buying the lottery tickets, most of them. And it's the people who can least afford it. And for the people who don't have the disposable income. And I don't know if it's sort of tied into a gambling addiction, or sort of, they like that dopamine hit that you get when you get to have the little hopeful thoughts. Or maybe it's just people whose life is so devoid of hope. That's the only hope they get. 800-288-9227. The lottery may go away. Are you okay with that? I say yes. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we're going to have another appearance from local political watchdog Dallas EnFuego, discussing the local elections that are happening Saturday, and really not getting too much into the nuts and bolts, but talking about some of the scandal and scuttlebutt around the candidates that might be on your ballot. Stick around. It's The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Returning to the show is local DFW watchdog Dallas EnFuego to talk about some of the local elections that are happening on Saturday. You know, Dallas, I've had a few people reach out and say, I know nothing about what's going on Saturday. I don't even know what we're voting on. I don't know who are we voting on. Are we voting on things and stuff? So I think that's kind of our lane here at WBAP, that we got to fill that in just the next 3 days. What are some of the top line, big headline elections that people are going to go to the ballot for this weekend?
Well, first of all, I want to tell your listeners that aren't following the Dallas City Council election that this is really more exciting than March Madness, right? And if you want to get plugged in, you got to follow me on X, Dallas EnFuego on X, Dallas EnFuego group on Facebook, on YouTube as well. That's how you're going to really learn everything that's going on. I'm posting regular videos about all this stuff.
Well, listen, one of the reasons I like having you on is because you take something that sounds boring, like, a city council election. Who on earth could be interested in that? And you find some pretty interesting storylines that get people's attention. I'm interested.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. You know, there's a few districts in the city that I think we should all be really paying attention to. District 1, we'll just go from lowest to highest. District 1's really interesting. Candidate Katrina Watley is sort of the Beyonce of D1, like, say her name, she's a survivor. She's crazy in love with Dallas. She's the president of a ladies club with 6,000 members who are energized. They've got a big heart for Dallas. Who runs the world? Girls. This race is personal for her. Chad West, her opponent, the incumbent, approved the construction of a multi-family home that is inches from her house, and people smoking throw cigarette butts off their balcony to land on a roof. So she's really PO'd, and she's very motivated. And, I say that, like, hell hath no fury, like a woman who has made up her mind and whose nest is under attack.
So if you like it, then you better put a ring on it, huh?
You better put a ring on it. That's right, girl. Chad West also voted against the neighbors in this big West Oak Cliff project recently. He's under investigation by the Texas Ethics Commission for using campaign funds at a bathhouse.
That's the bathhouse guy. I follow you on Twitter and Facebook. You give this guy a hard time. Why do you give him the name bathhouse again?
It's because he spent $139 of campaign funds at a bathhouse, and then he listed it as supplies on his donor report. on his expenditure report?
Well, look, if I support a candidate for office so much that I'm willing to donate my own hard-earned money to his cause, isn't that between me and him on whether or not he spends it at a bathhouse?
It's actually between him and the Texas Ethics Commission. I'm just the messenger, okay?
Right. I mean, this is all allegedly, reportedly. I mean, is this confirmed in any way, or do I need to put in the lawyer adjectives there or adverbs?
No, the investigation is confirmed.
Okay.
They accepted jurisdiction over it, so it's ongoing. But no, this is the reason why this is exciting is because it's a David and Goliath story. Chad is the most well-funded candidate on the council. He's over $200,000. But listen, there's nothing more powerful than an unwavering group of women who've made up their mind, and that's something money can't buy.
So, Dallas EnFuego, do we have any other storylines in a Plano or Frisco or Fort Worth that reach the level of bathhouse intrigue?
You know something? I eventually want to expand my reach into these surrounding cities, but listen, I'm just one guy with a big heart and, limited time, so I really can't get there yet. Oh,
you say that. You're being modest because I see you posted on about other cities from time to time. So, Dallas EnFuego, one of the things that a lot of people find disconcerting about local elections is if you're in Dallas, what's the point? It's just going to be all Democrats anyway. Do Republicans have a chance of taking any of these seats?
Well, I'll be honest with you. This is a nonpartisan race, and the people who are running aren't really supposed to be touting whether or not they're on the left or the right side of the aisle.
But we know.
I don't care. We know, but I honestly don't care because I just want people who aren't insane and who actually are smart. If we could get that, we would have a completely different city council. We've got.
Yeah, I like that. Hey, let's get the insane out of the city council before we start to work on the nuance of policy position.
Please, I think that's the least we can do.
All right. So, any other storylines people need to know about before they get to the ballot box on Saturday?
Yeah, real quick. District 7 is really interesting. Adam Balsadua went on Facebook Live this week and threw a fit. I don't know if he lost his binky or his wife took away his PlayStation, but he started ranting against the Dallas Police Association, which, for those who don't know, is the police union that previously endorsed him. And he was going off against them, saying they're corrupt, saying that they don't represent the police. And it's like breaking up with your girlfriend and saying, "I didn't even like you," while you're holding the playlist that you two made together. It's like if this doesn't matter, why are you telling everybody about it on Facebook? So his opponent, Jose Rivas, is the guy to vote for. Now, this is personal because Jose is actually Baz's appointee to the police oversight board. And Jose told Baz, if you don't support police, if you don't support public safety, I'm going to run against you. And that's exactly what he did. So this is kind of a cage match. It's really exciting to see. So I'm really rooting for Jose here to come through.
All right. Well, that's good stuff. Dallas EnFuego, we're about out of time, but I appreciate it. You got to go look him up. He's on YouTube. He's on Facebook. He's on X/Twitter, whatever the cool kids are calling it these days. And there's not a whole lot of people who are watching DFW this closely. And he does it with a lot of humor and some really good animations. You're really good at video editing. What's your explanation for that?
Well, I've been working in media for over 20 years as an editor, professional film and TV editor. So that's the reason why. Yeah,
you're supposed to say, I don't know. It's just a weird coincidence. I'm definitely not hiding under a fake name. All right, thank you very much. There he is, Dallas EnFuego. Go look him up online, and you'll hear him on future shows. 800-288-9227. If you want to be after Matt in Collaville, he's going to explain, he's going to ask some lottery questions. 800-288-9227. Do you have any concerns about the local elections coming up Saturday? I tell you what, I think the biggest issue that's going to be on anyone's ballot coming up Saturday next. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Bob Lavelle, Home Marking Services, coming back on the James Show. And you must be pretty happy these days because we had mentioned it on Monday's show. The DFW area had the most home sales closed in any large metropolitan area for March, setting the standard. We're the top hottest housing market in the country. So things must be pretty good out there.
They are. And I don't know if your board guy told you that, I actually called in yesterday thinking that we were scheduled to chat. And I realized why I did that is because I had a call from one of your listeners that got me really pumped up, really excited. And we had a good long conversation, and it wasn't 5 minutes after that I called in to do our spot. And I said, well, your guy said, no, you're not on today, Bob. I was pumped up. I was excited. Ask me why.
Well, why? Did you make someone's dreams come true by getting them in an awesome house?
Actually, no. But I thought you'd never ask, so I thought I'd throw it out. No, the reason I was excited, James, is because this lady that we talked for 30 minutes informed me that she had talked to a couple realtors already. And, she heard things like she needed 20% to 30% down on her house. She told me the story about how they were living in an RV and had some bad things happen with the tornado that came through like February or so. And she was just pretty upset because they didn't have 20, 30%. And I said, did anybody tell you that you can get in for like 3.5%? Mm-hmm. No, they told me I needed 20, 30. And, it just kind of blew me away that people still, obviously, I've been talking a long time, and folks just need to be educated about here's what the real deal is. And a nice couple like that to be held off. They'd been in the same place for 3 years instead of having a home. So, it got me all excited.
Yeah, well, I hope people listening aren't delaying looking into a home because of one of these persistent myths, because they don't think they have enough for a down payment. They need 10, 20%. No, I got into my first house for 3.5%. Bob gets veterans into houses or some other rural development loan, or there's other programs where sometimes you can get in for 0. So you don't know until you call. Call Bob, 972-392-9595. Call Home Marketing Services, 972-392-9595. There's blessyourheart.com or 972-392-9595. All right, go make it happen, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Matt in Colleyville, you're on WBAP. What do you think about the lottery?
No, I guess I'm just failing to see the problem with them with purchasing lottery tickets online. It's not like the company is keeping a portion of your money. When you win, it gets transferred to you directly. And I know, I don't play all the time, but when the jackpots get big, or when the jackpots got big, I would make a family pool and each of us would put in $5 and see what happens. If we didn't win, we didn't. But I don't see why taking that away from those companies that were basically just supplying a service.
Well, the answer
all they were doing is.
The answer to a lot of these lottery questions is to prevent some sort of fraud or chicanery or criminal activity. In the same way that you can't buy a lottery ticket with a credit card, they want you to pay cash. Now, why would they do that? Well, there's some gambling addicts out there who would steal credit cards and they would use them to buy lottery tickets. And so they want to cut off that incentive for, illegality. Also, the reason why they don't want you to be able to buy it online or when it started over the phone or whatnot is how do you keep children from buying lottery tickets if you can do it online? Also, how do you keep some sheik from Dubai from buying 25 million tickets and winning the damn thing out from under the feet of all of us? And he's not even a Texan or an American to begin with. How do you stop overseas bad actors, or bad actors within our own country? So that's usually the answer on some of those. Why do you have to be there in person to buy it? Why do you have to buy it with cash? Why are these lottery apps looked at a little askew? It's usually to prevent people from either trying to fraud the system or cheat the system or give themselves some sort of unfair advantage.
Right, but I'm saying even the larger lotteries, like Mega Millions or whatever. If you can afford to go buy all the tickets, stand there at the machine. I would rather pay the $1 convenience fee for someone else to do it, just so I don't have to go to the store to buy my ticket.
Yeah, but what happened with that is these courier services now had an excuse to start piling up, 20, 30 machines in a room, and now they have the facility which they can pull off the grift that they just did by buying $25 million worth of tickets.
But they're not getting the money. They're not getting the winnings. Goes to the person.
The thought process is for the two lotteries that were won by these courier services, or people that are adjacent to the courier services, I should say, is that's what they did. They used their position to cheat the lottery, and so they did cheat the lottery. Or it looks like, allegedly, reportedly, until the lawyers figure it out, it looks like they were able to cheat the lottery by doing that.
I can't see by buying more tickets. Like if I put a family pool together and 10 of us buy just $5 worth instead of me going, hey, it's a big lottery. Let's spend $20. I don't want to do that.
Okay.
That's why I put in.
Okay, but
each of us put in $5, and hey, we won $10.
Right.
Well, a piece.
Let me explain how this would get way out of hand. So if everyone, like here at WBAP, everyone gave me $5 and I went out there and I've got like $50 worth or 50 tickets and we ended up winning, I could split it up among these guys. But what if I had online tools where I could connect us all, not just people at WBAP, but all the stations that are owned by Cumulus? Or how about I open it up to everybody in Texas? Or how about we just have everybody pay into the big same pool that's going to win and we just all divide the money up by ourselves? That totally defeats the purpose of having a lottery. Am I interrupting something? Are you working on a Chevy Comet or something?
I'm sorry. I was putting dishes in the dishwasher. I didn't think you could hear it.
Matt, you can't wait a couple minutes till you're done with WBAP?
No, I'm done.
All right. No, hey, don't let me interrupt. All good questions, though, Matt. Anything else?
No, we're good.
Okay, thank you very much. Hey, those were legit questions. It happens. There's reasons for all those laws. And listen, coming up next, I'm going to go into a little more detail, but I'm going to give you one example of something that's going to be on the ballot for people that are going to vote in Frisco on Saturday. Now, you have a local election where you're at, but I'm going to talk about this Frisco theater. I want you to do sort of this Mad Libs thing where whatever big bond issue is going on in your town, big or small, it could be a school board, it could be a school bond, it could be a theater, it could be a museum, it could be some new bridge. I want you to think about the bond issue that you're going to be facing on Saturday when I talk about this theater in Frisco in the next segment, and put it in there and ask yourself the same questions about your bond in your town that I'm going to be bringing up about this just one example in a northern suburb here in DFW. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. It's sweet. We did the WeatherCon this weekend, and our chief meteorologist, Brad Barton, teamed up with the meteorologist over at Fox 4, and they brought the green screen out there, and you had the kiddos doing the weather report and whatnot. Well, Dan Henry and crew over at Fox 4 made a little promotional video sort of thanking us for putting on WeatherCon. Oh, that's so sweet. I didn't know you cared. And I almost feel awkward. It's like, well, I didn't make a promo thanking you, so should we do that real quick, Garrett? I mean, we could just throw something together real quick. I don't know. But thank you, Fox 4. You make a guy feel special. All right, hey, so a lot of us are going to go to the ballots on Saturday. And actually, I should probably rephrase that. Turnout for this election is expected to be like 8-9%. You realize like 90% of our neighbors are not going to vote Saturday, but the WBAP audience, you guys are on top of it. You know what's going on. You will. And the worst thing I see on almost every ballot is some bond proposal, because some bond proposals are necessary. There is such thing as an emergency or some circumstance where you got to take out a little bit of debt to keep up with, just skyrocketing growth. But most of these bond issues are just so dumb. They're so terrible because they exist and they live in this one-sided world where people just don't question them. Hey, how would you like to have a nice, shiny, opulent, internationally ready theater that can handle, like if they wanted to bring Hamilton here and do it live in a giant Broadway musical production? What if we had a great giant place in Frisco to have this? And people say, well, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, the problem is it just doesn't come out of fairy dust. It comes out of your backside. It comes out of your paycheck. It comes out of your cash registers and the small businesses and the property taxes and that escrow that just clocks your check every month. Because it's about to happen tomorrow, isn't it? When does your mortgage payment come out? Doesn't it stink that keeps going up? Your house payment doesn't go up. The interest is fixed. It's your property taxes and maybe your insurance. And this is the kind of things that are going to be settled by just 8% of the population on Saturday. So you actually have a pretty big voice out there compared to, when people get excited about voting for the president, I find that counterintuitive because that's where your vote matters the least, especially in Texas. It's going to go red. Doesn't matter what you do, pal. But for this stuff, it really matters. I just want you to, like this Frisco theater is so bad. It's like the arguments for it are just brain dead. Because first off, it's expected to cost like $380 million, and the bond itself, the number that you're going to vote on is, what was it, like 160, or it's a really low number. But when you add up all the interest and whatever payments and get the real cost, that's what you really have to ask yourself. First off, Does your town really need this? Whatever it is, whether it's a theater or a football stadium or a museum, like they want to fix up the book depository here in downtown. They're like, oh, it needs millions of dollars. Does it? Does your town really need this project so bad that you need to raise your own taxes? What happens? What happens if this bond is denied and that theater isn't built? What are the negative consequences to the community of Frisco if y'all don't get this new opulent theater? What happens if a musical comes to town? You're going to have to drive all the way to Plano? Well, that didn't sound so bad. McKinney's already throwing away a bunch of money on a similar theater. What, you going to go to McKinney? Worst case scenario, you got to come to Dallas. Is that really worth raising your taxes for? Something you might do once a year, you would have to drive an extra 4 miles? Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense under that context. So why aren't we asking these basic questions about every single one of these bonds? Because, I live in a town, Bug Tussle, 2,600 people. You know what they just built behind the football stadium? They just built one of these indoor practice facilities. And it's like, wait a second, we don't even have 3,000 people yet. Why do we necessitate a turfed out football field that's totally enclosed and weatherproof so our football team can practice even when it's raining, or a band can practice even when it's raining, or a drill team or whatever the heck else? It doesn't have bleachers in there. It's just a practice facility like the Cowboys have, like the Saints have, like the Texans have. We are not an NFL team. We don't even have a stoplight. In the middle of Bug Tussle, we have a 4-way stop with the little blinky lights on top of it. That's the only street lights we have in the entire town. We don't have a genuine stoplight. You can't tell me that just a couple hundred students and a handful of goats that we need an indoor practice facility. It's amazing because, you think they would be a little more tight-fisted out in small towns, but if it's attached to a school or if it's attached to sports, people just love voting in the dumbest bonds and spending so much money and raising their own taxes. They just can't raise your taxes fast enough. And this stinks because of the other people, their bad decisions, you're actually going to have to pay for it. Another question that never gets asked, or should at least be put into context before you tell the voters to go raise their own taxes, is how much existing bond debt are you already paying on? Because the people of Frisco are up in the billions, and you're going to add $380 million to it. It's not like, well, do you want to take on $190 million worth of debt? No, because the real cost of that's going to be around $380, and you already have debt. So how much of your property taxes is going to bad decisions that other voters have made in previous elections, like the one that's going to happen Saturday, that is kicking you right in the backside every month, just like clockwork? Your default position on every bond issue for the rest of your life should be no. And only if it's an absolute emergency and you've asked yourself all these questions. Does your town really need it? Does it need it so bad you got to raise your own taxes? What would the negative consequences be if this bond is denied? Does a town of this side really need whatever XYZ facility that's being proposed? How much existing bond debt are you already paying on? And if you go through all of these cycles, and if you had the Dallas Morning News or TV stations or, some other radio hosts in town that just love all these bonds, if they were actually going through and asked all these questions and made to answer them, would they all have glowing, positive reviews about these bond issues? Because they all support every single terrible idea that you have to pay for. The media just loves it, and I'm sick of it. Vote no on Saturday. You have a chance to save yourself money on Saturday. Vote no. All right, stick around. Coming up next, Mark Levin. I'm about to get out of here and go put up the podcast. You can find it wherever you already listen to podcasts. I see where you're listening. But I prefer you go to WBAP.com or the WBAP app. Absolutely free. I would appreciate it if you told someone about the show as well. Go find me on social media. We can continue the conversation there. I am done for the day. This has been The James Show with me, James Parker, on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.